It's the match preview. West Ham versus Brighton. A big game, it feels like now. A bit of a big game for West Ham because there's a growing sense that things are just starting to turn a little bit. No, I'm not suggesting that things are looking great and things are looking miles better than they were. I don't know. There's just a feeling that things are just possibly becoming away from the worst it's been, and it feels like we're just starting to look a little bit more like a team. I'm sort of going off the back of the fact that we played. Right, we didn't play great against Wolves, but we got a result, and then we played pretty well as a whole against Bournemouth, especially the first half. I thought we were pretty decent, to be honest. So you're starting to get that sense that we're starting to build a little bit of confidence now. So this is a big opportunity, I feel, to build on that. So it's a big game. Before I go into the video, though, if you're new to the channel, do subscribe. It takes 2 seconds. We really do appreciate it. We've had a lot of new subscribers recently, and honestly, it really does mean the absolute world to us. So if you're not a subscriber, do please subscribe. And of course, hit that like button as well. We do appreciate that. Also, Brighton, Hove Albion. And now, by the way, before I go into this, I just want to make it clear that the last video I did, I think it was Bournemouth. A few people said, "Oh, you did a big talk about Bournemouth before you went on to West Ham. It went on for a bit too long." So I'm kind of mindful of that. I still want to talk about the opposition, but I'm going to be a little bit mindful. I don't want to spend ages and ages talking about Brighton. I just want to go over a few points about them. And in particular, I want to start off talking about their owner, Tony Bloom, who I just think is sort of like every fan's dream, really, of having someone like that at the helm of a football club. He is remarkable what he has done for that football club. It's been unbelievable. I'm so impressed with Brighton, how they operate. I love it because I like seeing a club sort of defy the odds, come up. I mean, Brighton, they all know deep down in terms of the football pyramid that they're higher than where they should be in terms of the reality, but they've forced their way in there. They've done it the right way, and they're not going anywhere. And I'm glad to see that's the case because it just gives hope to everybody else, I just love the way they operate as a club and how they identify not just players, like staff members. They just seem to have this slick recruitment operation. It doesn't matter who goes, they know exactly who they're going to go for next, and they not only do they replace them, but they seem to be better than the person they had originally. It's pretty stunning, and it never seems to change. I've been so impressed. I mean, you've got was it Hertzer, their manager, of course, replacing De Zerbi in the summer. I mean, a young manager, of course, another sort of gamble by Brighton in a sense, but I don't really feel like it's ever a gamble now with Brighton because whoever they bring in, you think, well, they've done their homework. They know exactly who they want. This guy is going to come into the club and fit in well. He's going to take us forward. And I mean, it must be great having that sense of that confidence in your owner. I mean, we've got the polar opposite, haven't we? In David Sullivan, where we just feel it just feels like a bit of a circus pretty much all the time, doesn't it? West Ham, you never know what's going to happen. So I look at Brighton with, as much as I admire it, I'm envious as well. I'm going to be honest. I do feel quite jealous towards them as a football club, just because I like the way they operate. I think it puts a lot of clubs to shame, really. And you kind of think, can you imagine if they had the riches of one of the big clubs? My word, they would be a force to be reckoned with in football. They really would. They're a really well-oiled machine. And I've been really impressed with them. However, I will say this season, I don't think they're quite at it yet. They don't feel like they've quite got there, which is understandable. They've had another load of changes, haven't they? As I say, new manager coming in, plus they've got new players in, because I just feel the only thing with Brighton, which is again, this is what I think makes it more admirable of how well they've done, is that they just get rinsed every summer, don't they? Clubs just go, right, we'll have him, we'll have that player, yeah, we'll take him, Dan Ashworth, yeah, we'll have him. They pick all apart all their club, managers. Potter went and De Zerbi's gone to Marseille, and yet they just carry on. But I feel like they're not quite in their rhythm just yet this season. They've been okay. I mean, they're top half, and they're going to be a contender for European football, no doubt about it. But it does feel like they're probably not quite at their usual level. Obviously, they've come off the back of a big defeat against Crystal Palace, which is a big rivalry for them. So no doubt that hurt them quite considerably. But I still think they're going to be in and amongst it in terms of the European places this season, which is stunning, really, when you consider we're talking about Brighton. It weren't too long ago. This team didn't have their own ground. They were languishing in sort of the lower tiers of football. A small club, sort of going nowhere. And now they've become this, not only a Premier League club, like an established Premier League club that feels like it's still got more to do and more to prove. It doesn't feel like they've hit a ceiling. Do you know what I mean? You still look at Brighton and think there's a chance this can carry on and get better and better. because they're just so slick at what they do. So yeah, really impressive. And I've got to say, I'm really impressed with the new manager as well. I mean, 31 years old, Hertzler is, and he's come in. I mean, he makes me feel bloody old, I will be honest. He's come in and he looks a decent manager, doesn't he? Straight away, good appointment. And no doubt at some point in the near future, there'll be a bigger club that'll go, we'll have him, please. And I'm telling you now, I'm sure of this as well. They know already who's replacing him. They'll go, yeah, that's the manager. That's what I like about Brighton. I wish West Ham were like that. I wish that we were going, right, we've got Lopetegui in. If this doesn't work out, we know exactly who we get. We've already had the conversation with him. He knows he's coming in. And then already when he comes in, go, right, now we're looking for the next manager after him. Do you know what I mean? Like, they have this constant operation where you know where everything's going, you're looking ahead into the future, rather than a reactive football club, which is certainly what West Ham are. You know, it's all very much knee-jerk and panic and, oh, God, who's available? You know, that kind of stuff. Very, very impressive. A couple of players as well I want to mention. I mean, Danny Welbeck, I don't understand how he's doing so well. I honestly, I mean, great career he's had, hasn't he? I mean, obviously, majority of his time spent at Arsenal. I mean, he should be, you know, at his age now and the little player he is, you'd expect to see him in the Championship probably, wouldn't you? Or whatever, something like that. So we'll see in his days out. But no, he seems to be getting better. I don't know how he's just one of those players that's embraced being a bit older. And he's adapted his game and it's suited him. And some players are very good at that. Another one of theirs, James Milner's very good at it. I mean, we had Teddy Sheringham, didn't we? He was playing for us at 40. Kind of reminds me of that. Just like an older player, but it's gone, right, do you know what? Yes, I'm not the quickest anymore. I'm going to change my game to suit that. I'm not necessarily going to be running the channels every game. I'm going to try and adapt my style to suit my condition now as a more mature footballer. And I just think he's just brilliant. And it kind of epitomises, again, another shrewd bit of business by Brighton. They've recognised that, brought him in. He's done a great job for him. So fair play. João Pedro as well. No, I mean, you know, doing very well, isn't he? A wonderful player. I did note down Ensico as well. Again, I don't, you know, before going to West Ham, last point I want to make on Brighton is he is the epitome of what I was saying in terms of that unbelievable recruitment. Like, who is this Ensico? I would have him. I mean, it's all right, I spent a bit of money on him, but he's quality. You know, absolutely quality. Dropped straight in midfield. And again, he will no doubt be another player they will end up losing in the next 12 months, I imagine. I wouldn't be surprised if he's gone in the summer, or maybe next season will be his last. But Brighton, that won't phase Brighton. They'll be like, no problem. We know who our next midfielder is. We're already well prepared for it. So, yeah, a really, really excellent football club, and fair play to them. It's great to see, as I say, because it gives hope to smaller clubs, I think. And I know that West Ham, we want to be considered slightly, well, above that, and a club that's fighting for European places. But at the end of the day, what it does make me think is if they can do it, then with the riches that West Ham got, then why can't we? Do you know what I mean? Why can't we get the right people in and plan ahead properly and run and be more organised in terms of how we do our business? It would be wonderful, wouldn't it? But no, it's a fair play to Brighton. On to West Ham. The joys of being a West Ham fan, my word, this season has got to be one of the most bonkers seasons I can remember as a West Ham fan. We've pretty much had it all, haven't we? We got a new manager in, we've got all these signings in, we've had fallings out, we've had punch-ups with managers, we've had, you know, a car accident. I mean, it has just gone on. It's been chaos. We've got players wanting to leave. We've got betting allegations. I mean, it's never a dull moment, is it? At West Ham, it's just a circus of a football club at times. I mean, my word, the total contrast to Brighton, really. You know, this well-oiled machine, and then they must look over and think, Christ Almighty, what is going on over there? Team news. Let's talk about team news. Carlos Soler is suspended. Another demonstration of our lack of discipline this season, which has been absolutely shocking. I mean, I can't remember the last time a season where we've been so bad with discipline, and not just from players, from our manager as well. Obviously, Lopetegui seems to get a booking pretty much every game, and he keeps mentioning it, that he's going to sort this out. And, oh, yeah, no, I'm very aware that I need to be more respectful to the officials. And then, you know, literally the next day, he's getting a booking again. So he's having issues with it. Soler's obviously had issues with it because he's picked up his 5th yellow, so he is now suspended for this game. Emerson returns from being suspended because he was the same issue. He had too many yellow cards. Obviously, Mikel Antonio is out, of course, and he will be for the rest of the season. But we did get a bit of a positive update on him, didn't we? You know, the club have sort of feel like a 7 to 12 month window is going to be the time possibly we could be seeing him back in action. I really do hope so. We really do want to hear some positive news, don't we, in terms of the actual injury itself and how serious it is. In terms of his career, because he's been a wonderful servant for West Ham, Mikel Antonio, and yeah, unbelievable, really. He's lucky to be alive, of course, but yeah, hopefully we get a bit more positive news on him. And TOBO, I mean, I don't really know what's going on. I'm going to be honest with the TOBO situation. It seems a bit of a chaotic mess, doesn't it, with him at the moment? I mean, we've committed to buying this player. We are going to be signing him. He will no longer be on loan. He will be a permanent player soon for West Ham. Whether it's going to be in the summer or West Ham are going to trigger it early, I don't know. But basically, it's on the basis that we don't get relegated. But there's issues behind the scenes as far as we understand it. Obviously, he's had a big falling out with Lopetegui. There's rumours that he's had another falling out, possibly with Mavropanos. So I don't know. It's starting to feel like another thing to add to the list of West Ham this season. Another way, TOBO, an absolute disaster, and now him probably has to leave. But although we've got to pay £40 million in the summer for him, I mean, you just couldn't make it up. So I hope that it's not as bad as I'm kind of portraying it here. I am trying to find out a bit more about it before I sort of talk about it a bit too much. But whether he plays or not, it's going to be a sort of indication of where things are. But things aren't looking great. Let's be honest at this stage. Nicholas Füllkrug, though. Another one to add to this, a player that can't wait to leave. I mean, I'm really not impressed with his comments in the week. He came out on a podcast, which he seems to do more of that than playing football. Talked about how it's been a disaster. He's moved to England. He can't stand it. And he can't, it's not good at all. Really bad language from him. And to be honest with you, I'm getting to the point with him. I feel like saying, I think it's time for you to just shut up now and get on with your job. I mean, because when I first saw TOBO, when I first saw Füllkrug in the sort of the clips that West Ham were putting on the official website, etc., of him signing and meeting the players, I was pretty impressed with him. I thought, God, this guy comes across really good. He looks like a big tough bloke, and I think the fans are going to take to him. And he just seemed really happy to be here. And I just thought, you know what, this is a good player. And I just thought all I ever seem to hear from him is just moaning. He don't like it, and he's unhappy. He's homesick. I mean, bloody hell, he's like flew from Australia. I mean, he's only Germany. He's not far, is it? And yeah, I'm finding the whole thing a bit odd, really. But again, I blame West Ham more than him, really. The fact that we pushed the deal through, it doesn't look good on Tim Steidten. And the fact he's coming out publicly and saying it's been a disastrous move for him, etc., and a big risk, and it hasn't paid off and all that. I just don't like hearing it. I just feel like, God almighty, we get it, mate. You don't like it. I mean, Christ, how about just just keep it quiet between you and your agent and the club. Keep it quiet and go, look, I want to go back home. If I can't go back in January, I'm going back in the summer. I'm sure the club would adhere to that and try and get something done for him. I don't know why he feels this need to keep coming out and publicly saying how much he hates it here. I don't know, not impressed with it, to be honest with you. And just not the thing we need, is it, during the mid-season, for our £27 million signing that's earning a decent wage as well from the football club, to sit there and keep moaning about it. It's quite depressing, really, and frustrating. That being said, this is his time now. We've had enough of the injury now. He's over the injury as far as I'm concerned. And I'm just a bit tired of waiting on this guy. And I've got to say, but in his defence, what I've seen of him, I've actually been quite impressed. Since he came back, I thought he looked all right. I think he's looked quite dangerous. And I think you can see he's got quality about him. His positioning's excellent. I think he's a good player, actually. I do think he's not a bad player at all to have. I'm just disappointed it's not working out for him. I wish he would just get his head down and work and sort of embrace London a little bit more, embrace the club and let it kind of... Because at the end of the day, he hasn't played. Do you know what I mean? It's annoying that he's kind of moaning and hating it. But you're thinking, well, it takes time to adapt to new surroundings. You know what I mean? It's unlikely you're going to go to a place and within 5 minutes go, wow, I love it here. It's going to take a bit of time for you to adjust. So it just feels like he's not really giving it any time. But again, I blame West Ham for that. You should know this. It's why you shouldn't go out and buy players that don't want to be here. I said this about... about PETTA, I was talking about Kudus. If there's any players that don't want to be here, I don't want them. I mean, I don't want them here. And I just feel like, why would you sign a player that's he made it very clear in the negotiations he didn't want to come to England. So it's just typical West Ham, really. We've pushed through a deal that it's just backfiring once again. So, but that being said, I want to see him playing. I want to see what this guy's about now. And I think it's about time he shuts his mouth and just get on the pitch and do the business now, and then we can, deal with it when it comes to January or the summer, and we'll get rid of him and we'll move on and get another player to replace him. But until then, I feel like saying, just earn your money, mate, and start showing it on the pitch. I don't want to keep hearing that you're unhappy. Full good rant over. Before doing my team, I want to talk about Lucas Paqueta. I mean, another one, I've got to be honest, I kind of want to see the back of now. And I know I don't mean to sound nasty, but I'm just getting a bit tired of Paqueta and this drama with him. You know what I mean? We've put up with a lot of this player. With the shambolic performances we've had this season from him, weird performances where something, what was the game he came on? It wasn't the Bournemouth game, the Wolves game when he came on and that shot from like 50 yards. So things like that just wind me up with the guy. I mean, West Ham have put up with a hell of a lot with him. And, you know, this betting allegation stuff's just a disaster. And, you know, he's our record signing. And I'll to be honest with you, I'm getting to the point with Paqueta now. I just kind of want to cut my ties. Just do a deal with someone in Brazil, get it done, and just draw a line under it, because it just feels like it's a walking drama with Paqueta. Of course, you know, he did get the goal against Bournemouth. He did kiss the badge and he ran over to the manager, all that great stuff. But this is off the back of him then putting a tweet out, some song lyrics about wanting to go home. You know, I don't care when anyone says it. Oh, yeah, it's a Brazilian song. He knew what he was doing, as far as I'm concerned. I think that was a bit of a nasty thing to do ahead of a game. It's just not what you want to hear. And my guess on that, right, was that the club found out about that or saw it. Maybe Lopetegui saw it and probably bollocked him or said to him, like, that's ain't good. You know what I mean? You don't do this in an even of a game. You don't start putting messages out of that. And I get the feeling that's probably what that celebration was all about. That's I saw it. I might be wrong. I'm maybe reading wrong, and maybe it was something to do completely different. He does love West Ham. I'm just not impressed by what I've seen with him at the moment this season. And I'm just getting to that point now. I just feel like saying, I know he's, you know, a great talent and all this, but we've not seen enough of it, have we, this season? I'm just getting a bit fed up with it all. And I think that tweet kind of irked me, really did. I thought that is just unprofessional and disrespectful towards West Ham and West Ham fans, especially a club that's standing by you, really. And I wish the club wouldn't, really. I wish we'd just kind of go, do you know what? We'll do a deal. You can go back for 5 million or 10 million quid. Just cut your ties and we'll move on. We'll take our loss. We'll take our 40, 50 million pound loss, whatever it's going to be, and we'll move on with our lives, because I'm kind of getting to that stage of him, much like I am with Fulkrug. I just don't want, like I say, I don't want players at the club that don't want to be here. And if Paqueta's desire is so desperate to go back to Brazil, well, bloody just get it sorted. Let's move on. Get someone else in that wants to be here. Make it, you know, we've got enough in our academy to deal with it as well. We don't even need to bring anyone in, you know. At least we've got players that want to play for West Ham, play for the shirt. I feel like it's a bit of a rant, this video, isn't it? I was in a good mood before I started. Right, and it's Christmas. What am I doing? Right, team. This is the team for the game. And obviously I'll give my prediction of what I think how it's going to pan out. I'd like you to do the same. Let me know what you think and give me your predictions. Right, in goal, I'm going for Lucas Fabianski, who I think, you know, played great against Bournemouth, you know, man of the match, outstanding performance again from him. I mean, he's not, you know, not always outstanding, but he's a great goalkeeper, isn't he, overall. Fabianski's been a wonderful goalkeeper for West Ham. He really has. He's been here for quite a few years now. And it just, you know, considering his age as well, when he gets called upon, I've got a lot more confidence with him than I do with Areola. As I've said, I still think the goalkeeper situation needs sorting out in the summer, but absolutely he retains his position. I don't see that changing for the rest of the season, to be honest. I think he's more than proven enough this so far of his performances that he is the right man to be in goal for us, as long as he stays fit. Now, the defence, I've had to be a little bit sort of mindful of the performances against Bournemouth. I thought Vladimir Coufal was really good, actually. I thought he actually played really well. And actually, I thought he gave us something a little bit different, I felt. I think he suits going forward more, which I think suits Lopetegui. And I think he deserves to start this game. So I'm going to start Coufal as right back. And I'm going to put Aaron Wan-Bissaka in at left back and leave Emerson on the bench, which is, you know, a bit of a big one, because I do like Emerson and on his day he's a great player. But I just feel that Coufal performance deserves a start. I think if you're going to come in and play at that level, I think you've got to be rewarded. That's my feeling on it. So I'm going to say Coufal at right back, Aaron Wan-Bissaka at left back, and my centre-back pairing are TOBO and Kilman. Now, we don't know what's going on with TOBO. I really don't know. I'm assuming he's going to be available. That's what I'm going to just assume at this stage. If he's not available, and of course Mavropanos comes in, the talk is that he's got an injured toe. And we've got no reason to believe that, by the way, that is a lie. The club are covering something up here, that he's got an injured toe. So I'm not going to speculate any further than that. But if he's fit and available, TOBO starts for me with Max Kilman in central defence. My midfield, of course, bearing in mind we've got to play without Soler, which is a big problem because I think he's actually been pretty decent for us of late. I'm putting Edson Alvarez in as sort of defensive midfielder with Thomas Souček sort of partnering him, and he's going to be given rein to go forward, of course, as well. And Lucas Paqueta in that midfield as well, of course, and pulling the strings as much as he possibly can. I mean, he really does need a better performance, Paqueta. I mean, I know he scored the goal against Bournemouth, but I thought he was pretty poor in that game again. I mean, this guy has just been... I mean, I think only once this season I've been impressed with Paqueta, and that was against Newcastle. Apart from that, I haven't really seen much of him this season where I thought he played well. So we need to start seeing. He's got about time he starts delivering. Do you know what I mean? If you're going to go down for this betting allegation, which, by the way, I think he will. That's my feeling. Do you know what I mean? It's like, can you go out of a bang and just be a brilliant player for the season? Can you just focus on that? Or bugger off, one of the two. So Paqueta's in the team for me. I'm going to Jared Bowen out on the right, Somerville on the left, and Nicholas Fulkrug up front. I think it's time now. We need to start seeing him playing. I don't want him playing a bit part role now. I want to see what he's about. And then what I've seen of him, actually, I've been pretty impressed. I think he's a good player. So that is my team. I think we're going to win. I don't know why. I just got this feeling we're going to win this game. Only on the basis that Brighton obviously come back off a heavy defeat against Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace, I don't think are great this season. I think that was a real knock to them to lose that. And I just feel at home, we've come off the back of a result, a couple of results now, obviously beating Wolves and then getting something at Bournemouth. I just feel like, I don't know, I've just got this feeling in my gut that we might get something out of this game and it might be 3 points. I've just got this better feeling than I usually do. I mean, as you know from these previews, if you watch the channel, I've been feeling quite flat and quite down about West Ham of late, as it's understandable. But when it comes to these predictions, I've struggled to muster up the kind of encouragement we're going to go and get a result. I don't know. I just feel a little bit more encouraged about West Ham recently. I just feel like this could be a game we'll get something. And of course, we've got Southampton after this as well, which would be another great opportunity for us. If West Ham had to get 6 points out of those games, even 4, but I mean, 6 points would be wonderful, wouldn't it? It would change the whole dynamics of the season. It really would. You look at that table and everything would feel so much better. So I really do hope we take advantage of this and get the 3 points. But, it's not going to be easy. Brighton is still a very good side. As I say, I just don't think they've hit their stride quite yet this season. Sorry, whack the camera. So I'm going to go for West Ham 2, Brighton 1. That's my prediction. Let me know what you think. I'm going to lean on optimism this time. It's Christmas. I don't want to keep being miserable. I don't want to keep moaning about Lopetegui every 5 minutes. I want to try and be a bit more optimistic. That's why I've recorded it now before that changes probably the next hour. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. Yeah, 2-1 West Ham. That's what I'm going for. Let's see. Come on, you Irons.